Tim, you said after the game on the other night that this is Wisconsin's a winnable game. Why do you want to expand on that? Why do you think it's a winnable game for you?
Is it a shock that I thought it was a winnable game, Brian? Well, first of all, I think that we have to have the mindset it's a winnable game. And I would question that if that was the mindset going into Ohio State. I'd hope there was a way we could win the game, but I'm not sure that we really truly felt that way. So I want to set the tone early that, we're expecting to win games, bottom line.
Is that what you meant by that comment in general then?
And I think we can win the game.
Okay. Do you think you match up well with Wisconsin? I guess, is that a better question for you? What's the...
I think Wisconsin's a good team. I think people are, up in arms that their record's only what it is, and they're really a good basketball team. They've had some injuries. They're a little thin. They're thinner than they want to be, but at the same time, they've got very capable players. Evans is really good. Bergeron, we had in camp when he was at North Dakota State, I don't know, eons ago. And Ben Brust, is an amazing rebounder, just great hustle guy. You talk about being a Gata player, he's that kind of guy. They've got really good, and they've got some young good players too.
Their offensive woes and your defense has been pretty decent.
I'm not judging anybody's offense, okay? That would be bad karma if I ever heard it.
That's fair, right? I kind of walked into that. Right?
Yeah, they, I'm not sure what their issues are. You'd have to ask Bo. I know they're probably, not as good as they want to be, but they played a fairly ambitious schedule. At Florida, Creighton in the Las Vegas deal. They haven't exactly run away from people.
How's Andre Almeida feeling?
I'd say he's questionable for Sunday, and Mike Pels is doubtful.
Is Andre, was it foot or ankle? Or
it's ankle. It's an ankle. Yep.
If he can't play, how do you go about replacing him or playing without him?
Well, I think the lineup you saw, against Ohio State is probably. I don't know that we'll go much deeper than that unless it's by necessity.
You mentioned possible more minutes for Sergey. Is that a possibility?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
What has he shown you, from day one here to now? What's his progression been with?
What I like about Sergey is he's stuck with it. He's not moping around. He's not hanging his head. He's just trying to get better every day. And, his biggest issue is just strength. Right. And it's hard to operate, at that size. And he's, there's not a whole bunch of quickness with a European kid that size. So, how are you effective? Well, you're effective when you're strong enough to hold your own. He's not there yet.
What does he bring there? What can he do?
He's got a really good mind for the game. He knows basketball well. Got good feel. He actually passes pretty well facing the basket, and he's got a nice shooting touch. And I think you saw that the other night. Took one good shot, I thought he made, and then he made one tough shot. But that's all right.
When you're a little thin with injuries and you've got a lack of depth, do you embrace every media timeout you get, every timeout you call?
Well, every time out I call, we're not embracing people sometimes, but you have to be able to try and find ways to, play the whole 40 minutes, be effective at the end of a game. Fatigue is certainly one of those things you have to manage.
Just in general, in college basketball, though, I know you have no control over this, but 4 media timeouts a half, is that something you like?
Yeah, 18 potential timeouts. It's almost a football game. I don't coach football. And thank God for that. It's a lot. It's a lot. And, now you get in some of them, depending on what it is, and the timeouts are longer, and 2.5 minutes or 2:15 or whatever they are. I only have so much to say. I don't have so many good ideas, and that's already obvious, I think.
Hey, Tim, you mentioned after the game your disappointment, the lack of the hustle plays you guys made against Ohio State.
You saw you saw a hustle play.
No.
You can verify you saw a hustle play because I couldn't find one.
None come to mind. But when your style, how do you go about coaching that? What are some of the strategies you do?
I don't think I could say that in public and still keep my job. You have to encourage your guys to play harder. Sometimes getting your guys to play harder is finding new and innovative ways to antagonize your players. We'll work on that about 2 o'clock today. It's got to be uncommon, but I understand sometimes you look at a game and you're like, holy cow, they're good. What I can't understand is pinning your ears back and playing as hard as you can and going down and fighting to the death. We didn't do that. And that's on me. I let them get to that point. I let them get soft. And we have to correct that immediately.
Did that surprise you in that
Yes,
game?
it did. It really did.
Yeah.
We hadn't practiced soft, but I hadn't put them in a, an environment where they had to overcome a whole bunch of obstacles in practice. Made it life more difficult than it needed to be, and that surprised me. I thought we'd show more fight than that.
Was just the atmosphere and the setting. I mean, that's a big building in Ohio State.
It's a hockey building. Let's
It
not
is.
make no mistake about it.
It
It's
is
a hockey building. Thank God we don't have a hockey building or a future one either.
Just them being in the top 10, and I mean, did your guys go in there with their eyes wide open?
Maybe, I don't know. There was very few guys that have ever played in that kind of game. Brandon, Andre, but yeah, that could have been some of it. There was no doubt about like our freshmen. I thought our processing still, and they'll get better. I'm encouraged by their effort, but we have to be a physically tougher team too.
Okay.
I'm not so sure. I hate Christmas, the length of the Christmas break even. I think the guys kind of get into a blasé routine. I think that has some effect too.
Last game, Ray shot 15 3-pointers. Is that something that, I mean, I know that's a big number, but do you want your guys to go out there with the attitude, shoot to kill, shoot to win, instead of playing not to lose?
Definitely have to play to win. There's no doubt about it. We put Ray in a difficult spot too. Sometimes we're forcing him. We're running actions for him, and if he's not scoring, who is, so to speak. And I thought the one thing that Ohio State did really well was defend us in the 2-point area. Our numbers were like 11 for 35, like 11 for 35 from 2. So anytime we were inside the paint, it didn't go that well. And so Ray shooting threes is as good an idea as I've got right now.